Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. I'm kind of finally fed up with this whole trucker convoy nonsense, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Precisely because it's a scam and it's really a non-story, or rather, it should be a non-story. So, quick little background, right? Because of the vaccine mandates that were introduced for the trucking industry on both sides of the border, by the way, a bunch of Canadian truckers have said, no, this is unacceptable. You can't force us to get vaccinated. And so they've called for a trucker convoy of sorts to go from coast to coast, basically from the West Coast to the nation's capital of Ottawa. And the idea is they're going to, block traffic and access into Ottawa so that it sends a signal to Justin Trudeau and shows them how powerful they are. And, they won't be silenced, etc., etc. You know the gist of things, right? And they even have a GoFundMe, which is at over $2.3 million right now. So they're kind of serious. But we're going to come back to that in a real hot second. First, though, I want to point out the actual scale of this, right? For all the online stuff you see of like, oh, look at all this trucker convoys and all these people, the movement grows. It really hasn't. Those are usually either bought and paid for stock images, or they are just some kind of other trucking convoy that was happening in the past. Some have been correct, but most have not. This also flies in the face of the fact that 90% of truckers are vaccinated. Trucks are rolling. The 90% vaxxed are keeping stores stocked and the economy going by moving goods to and from the US, while a few have chosen to drive empty to Ottawa to raise money for the secretary of the Alberta Maverick Party and provide photo ops for the PPC. Do I have that right? Yeah, pretty much. And we're going to come back to a few of those points. But first, something else that should definitely be mentioned here. Even the main trucking alliance is against this protest. Canadian Trucking Alliance says stop protesting and get vaccinated. The government of Canada and the United States have now made being vaccinated a requirement to cross the border. This regulation is not changing, so as an industry, we must adapt and comply with this mandate. The only way to cross the border in a commercial truck or any other vehicle is to get vaccinated. When truckers are tired of other truckers' bullshit, said bullshit has gone a little too far. However, again, it gets worse, right? So we should talk once more real quick about that whole Secretary of the Alberta Maverick Party. What's the Maverick Party? The Maverick Party is a pro-Albertan independence party out in the Canadian province of Alberta. And spoiler alert, that's where most of the money raised for the GoFundMe is going. Online fundraising campaign for rolling truck blockades to protest vaccine mandates linked to right-wing separatist groups. Specifically, the lady who organized that whole GoFundMe, and she's very much tied to the Maverick Party, her whole thing was she wanted Alberta to leave and join America as the 51st state so that Trump would be her president. So, this party is unhinged when, but again, it gets worse, right? Self-described bigots call on fellow travelers to go to Ottawa for hashtag Freedom Convoy arrival on Saturday. One says he'd like to see a Capitol Hill January 6th type assault on Parliament Hill. This is wow. And then they link to a YouTube video, but that YouTube video has been deleted, along with, I'm pretty sure, the channel, by the way, because it was in such incredible violation of YouTube's terms. Now, again, right, we talked about all that money going to, the truckers, right? It's a GoFundMe. Their first goal was $1 million, and then when they hit that, they raised it to $3 million. And while there are certainly some small donations, there's a lot of really suspicious $10,000 or multiple $1,000 donations. This is hardly a grassroots movement, as is so clearly shown by the donations that they are receiving. Again, very much anonymously. If it's not a money laundering scheme, it's fundraising for the Maverick Party. It's just not good. There's so much fishiness about this. It's really, really sus. But again, it's just really beautifully summed up by this person here. $3 million. It's a foreign dark money wash. The nutty fake empty shelves and accommodate the unvaccinated from O'Toole and most every CPC now makes sense. They needed to create outrage to legitimize and minimize scrutiny of this Maverick Party fundraiser being used as a laundry. Now, we don't have proof of that, but given just the amount of donations and how little actual support there is for this convoy, something is definitely going on. I don't know if it's a big right-wing Conservative Party conspiracy or a money laundering thing, but clearly something is going on that is not an actual grassroots. I guess the term for this is astroturfed. And again, it's all so stupid because imagine if this angry vocal minority actually focused on something good and worthwhile. Imagine if the truckers for freedom did the same thing for equality, hunger, reconciliation, and poverty. What a beautiful Canada that would be. All that money these truckers spent and grifted and wasted time lost that could have been spent keeping our supply chain up could have been saved with a 2-second needle. Note, 90% of truckers are vaccinated. This is a loud minority. The core point of this is that imagine, right? If they were doing legitimate protests to actually help other people. Imagine if truckers decided, you know what? Not a single truck is being delivered to Loblaws until Loblaws reinstates pandemic pay for those fantastic frontline workers, also helping keep this country fed. Imagine if that happened instead, right? Instead, conservatives are loving this protest where when truck drivers are threatening to block off Ottawa, conservatives are saying, haha, this is so awesome, way to go. Meanwhile, Wet'suwet'en land defenders blocking a single pipeline, you should send the state police and arrest them immediately, how dare they? It's stunning hypocrisy, and unfortunately, right, it's this tiny minority that has been either co-opted or taken advantage of by dark money on the internet to make a lot of noise about something that, again, their own, representatives and alliances and federations of trucking don't agree with. And the vast majority of truckers are already vaccinated, and the vast majority of Canadians are not on their side. And, it would actually be kind of beautiful if the truckers did, as an example, that thing I said earlier of, you know what, we're not delivering anything to, Loblaws or whoever who doesn't reinstate pandemic pay for the essential workers and grocers there. Or, perhaps saying, you know what, no, we're not going to deliver building materials until more affordable housing is built. It would be so nice, right? If the loud minority of these truckers, instead of bitching and moaning like little piss babies about a little tiny jab in the arm that the vast majority of us have gotten already, by the way, instead of making all that noise, taking that energy and putting it towards things that actually matter and could meaningfully improve the lives of their fellow Canadians that they so pretentiously claim to care about in the GoFundMe. It is just so unfortunate. It's a non-story, and it's just laundering dark money, and it's tied to Alberta separatists. The whole thing is just so supremely stupid, silly, sad, and a waste of everyone's goddamn time. And unfortunately, the fact that I've been forced to talk about this is definitely what's bothering me today.